Most of them are financially unprepared. I happen to be financially prepared. I just wasn't emotionally prepared. Many of them lose the money, most of them within 3 to 5 years, because they don't know what they're doing. When I was 47, I inherited money, and my next 3 relationships, long-term, were complete disasters. I picked highly sophisticated professional athletes. They were really hot, but they were broker than crap. And I thought that I could fix them. Saying no if it's not a hell yeah. And that goes back to my point, especially in the beginning of a relationship. Just stick with those emotional feelings and don't tie the financial into it.
What does it take to be a financially empowered woman? And what can financially empowered women do together to change the world? A shocking statistic is that around 400,000 women in Australia are at risk of homelessness. And the cause of this is the lack of education about how to build a financial foundation, starting even before we first enter the workforce and well into our retirement years. My name's Dion Payne, and I'm the founder of the Financially Empowered Women podcast. I'm passionate about ending homelessness, and as part of that passion, I chose to look at the systemic barriers that are causing homelessness for women in the first place. The Financially Empowered Women podcast is designed to bring you the best experts from around the world to increase your financial know-how and give you practical and women-specific tips to overcome the challenges you might be facing, such as how to negotiate a better salary, demystifying super, or how to navigate a separation and ensure the assets are distributed fairly. My role is to provide you with the best information out there to change your trajectory and become a financially empowered woman, because you deserve it, and the world needs you more than ever to own your worth and help others to do the same. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Financially Empowered Women podcast. My name's Dion Payne, and I'm delighted to be joined by Suzanne Leydecker. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Suzanne. Suzanne is an author, speaker, philanthropist, and proud mother. She builds unshakable women who reclaim their worth and fall in love with their lives. Suzanne's memoir, A Woman on Top: My Journey of Self-Discovery Through Love and Money, chronicles her experiences overcoming lifelong patterns regarding love, boundaries, and the intriguing role that worth plays in relationships. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Dion. I'm so happy to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. Now, I always like to ask our guests a little bit about how they started in life in terms of, what led them, what experiences led them and shaped them to be doing the work that they're doing now. So I ask you this question as well.
Very interesting. Well, I didn't know I was being led to write a book. I thought I was just good in math. I skipped every English class and never took an English course in college. How I managed to do that, I don't know, but I did. So somebody challenged me at some point, a life coach, and was like, why don't you add writing a book to your very busy schedule? And I was like, I don't know how to write a book. I wrote it 12 different ways. It took me 11 years, 10 years to write it, partially because of the fear of what my ex-husband would think and what the boyfriends would think and what my children would think. But eventually I wrote it as a memoir, and I think that people love my book so much because of the beginning, the way I set it up. So my whole life was perfectly designed from the second I was born to write a book about the interconnection of love and money. I wrote about my experiences as a child, who made the money, who spent the money. My mother got an allowance, which at the time I thought was very strange, but I actually tried it once. Wasn't such a bad solution to some things. They had very different values about money. My dad was a saver and my mom was a spendaholic. And so I think that people like the beginning of the book because it reminds them of what lessons they learned from their parents, from their grandparents, from their peers. And I kind of didn't think too much about it. I was just felt upset over it a whole lot as a kid, because money was used as a manipulation, depending upon whether whoever was doing good or bad by my father. This woman, I was talking to her, and she said, I felt so unseen as a child. And I'm like, well, get seen. Do you think I was seen as a child? I don't know anybody of this generation that was seen as a child. We were told to, keep our little trap shut and do what we were told to do.
Children should be seen and not heard. I remember that.
That is, of course, we all did back then. We parent differently now, thank God. And I wrote all about my breakup with my ex-husband, which didn't really, of course, the settlement had to do a lot about money in typical ways that people that don't want to give anything up don't want to. And I was the stay-at-home mother, and he was the worker, and a lot of the money was hidden. And, I had to get over that. And now my ex-husband and I are thankfully friends. And he said, go write your book. So I did. But where I got in trouble was when I was 47, I inherited some money. It wasn't a ton, but it was way more than I had ever experienced. And I really equated, I'm prepping a TED Talk, which I have yet to do, about the commonality between inheriting money, or you could divorce from it and all of a sudden come into your own money, compared to lottery winners. Now, there's a lot of research on lottery winners, and the most prevalent is they don't know who their friends are. All of a sudden, people are coming at them, and, they don't know whether they're there because they love them or because they want the money. Most of them are financially unprepared. I happen to be financially prepared. I just wasn't emotionally prepared. Many of them lose the money, most of them within 3 to 5 years, because they don't know what they're doing. I have not. My brother did. He lost it all. And a lot of them kill themselves because they don't know how to handle this responsibility and this new relationship with money. So I love the work that you're doing of trying to help women turn around their financial positions in life and get from where they're at. And I told you a fact I thought was interesting in your bio was that there's 400,000 homeless women in Australia. So what you're doing in your high impact property goals and stuff to get people out of challenging situations monetarily is tremendous. And I would encourage you to add in the piece that you need to incorporate this emotional component. So when I was 47, I inherited money, and my next 3 relationships, long-term, were complete disasters. I picked highly sophisticated professional athletes in sports that didn't make any money. They were really young, younger than me, like 13, 14, 17 years. They were really hot. I gotta say. But they were broker than crap. And I thought that I could fix them. Now, I love all these men, and I'm still in touch with them, and we have good working relationships, and they all know that I wrote a book too. One of them said, I don't know how to read, so go ahead. I was like, okay, well, that checks that one off the list. Doesn't read books. He knows how to read, but he doesn't read books. And so that's when my struggles came in, because, and this is where I think I can be helpful to your audience, is that I gave. And then at one point I got sick of it and I said, F you, I don't want to give anymore. Oh boy, that is not the good way to do things. I work with a lot of women in modern dating. And the one piece of advice that I have for women that are dating men that don't have as much as they do, which is becoming more and more and more common. If you look at like 53% of the stock market's owned by women or more. I don't even know what the statistic is. So, there's a lot of us sitting in those shoes, and give slowly. Don't make any outlandish promises. problem is in the beginning of your relationship, until you get to know who it is that you're dealing with. Now, I wouldn't take back any of those 3 boyfriends who are the ones I kind of talked about in my book, but then I went into how this applies to business and how this applies to women in Africa and how this applies to women in Australia and all kinds of things, because I travel quite a bit. So yeah, I learned that I needed to do things differently.
First of all, I want to say that it's you've lived a very rich life, and there were so many threads out of what you were talking about that I'd love to pull out and expand on. So you mentioned about in your family money being used as a way of manipulation. That is not uncommon, and I've spoken to many people that have similar stories. How did that show up in your family? What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, my dad was he went to work when he was 12 in the mailroom of a company called the Harper Group. And the Harper Group was run by a man named Harper. And my grandfather also went to work in the mailroom when he was 12 and eventually took over the company. So my dad worked for my grandfather, and along with his brother. And the brother and the grandfather really wanted to keep, my uncle and my grandfather really wanted to keep the business small. They liked it was a global shipping business. So they were based out of San Francisco. And my grandparents used to get on barges and go to China and bring back goods, sell them. My grandmother said the yellow man will rule the world. I don't know if she's right yet. Anyway, so my dad went to work for the company, and he saw a vision of having a global enterprise. And that ruined his relationship with his father and also with his uncle. They made a lot of money out of it, but they saw that my father was trading in love for money. And you know what, honestly, he was just following his dream. He was very much of a visionary, also a control freak. So everything was red marked and crossed out, and you couldn't spend this. I wrote about in my book that I got $62.50 a week for allowance, or a month. I don't remember, honestly. My dad figured out how every dollar that I was going to spend to take the bus, what school lunches, and then he threw in a little bit of extra for a movie or something like that, and that's what I got. So, as I mentioned, my mother also got an allowance, so there was a lot of control. I wrote about those ugly once-a-month encounters between my parents late at night, because my dad was a workaholic, coming home and her begging for money. And as I said, she was the spendaholic, so I'm not sure an allowance was not a good idea for her. I think that she would have just blown it all. So there was a lot of control and manipulation that, in the eyes of babes, they see it all. I really wanted to go in, I'm going to do this sometime, to a public school, kindergartners in New York City or something like that, and ask them, what do you know about money and love? I'm sure I would get some very interesting answers, because in my father's case, he controlled the purse strings, always. To me, as the allowance, to my mother, and said no to everything, and then eventually came around and said yes. And things did change. His company went public in 1977, and when that happened, all of a sudden, our very small, little, quiet, nothing house got a facelift. And he bought a house in Lake Tahoe, I grew up in San Francisco, so that's where people go to summer. I didn't really realize that. I was 17 at the time, until I went to write the book, and I was like, there's a lot more about love and money that I didn't even comprehend back then. And when I wrote my book, I was very keen on the stories as I remembered how I was with them in the moment, right? So I put it down for like a year and a half, and I'm like, I don't do that anymore. But I made myself categorize and catalog the feelings that I had at the moment. And boy, if you want to look at your life, make a lot of progress, write about it. Because sometimes we see, oh, I'm not making any progress, I'm not going anywhere. I was like, whoa, from where I came to where I am now, living an unshakable life, which takes practice every day. I'm a different person in my relationship with money and people that I'm intimate with, lovers, children. Wrote a lot about my children in the book.
Beautiful. And again, this is such a good, juicy conversation. And I wanted to go back to what you were talking about with regards to people that get inheritances, kind of been similar to lottery winners. And you pulled out, or you mentioned that there's the emotional intelligence, or being prepared emotionally as well as being prepared financially. Now, one of the things that is talked about a lot is the great wealth transfer to women. So in your opinion, how do women prepare themselves emotionally for that wealth transfer, whether it comes through inheritances or increased income or business success? If you've been watching the news lately, it's easy to feel a sense of despair between power-hungry global leaders and absolute chaos and division. It can feel like things are spiraling out of control. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and just to have a sense of powerlessness. But there is a way to push back. We can stop looking at what they are doing and start looking at what we can do. At Women for Homes, we firmly believe that where we put our money is making a choice for the kind of world that we want to live in. Our mission is powerful: to mobilize 1 million women to invest $5,000 to end homelessness by 2030, whilst being financially empowered along the way. It's practical, it's tangible, it's something that we can do now, and it's something that we can do to take our power back. Join us at www.womenforhomes.com. That's women4homes.com.
Well, I'll start out by saying that we're in a bit of a frenzy right now. All these women think that they're so empowered and they don't need men, and no good men are out there. No men are going to college, at least in the U.S., or the levels of women graduating college has gone up quite a bit, where the males are dropping. Is that, ladies, we can't do this on our own and leave out 50% of the population. It's not possible. So I love the fact that there's so many smart women on the planet that are making money, which is great. But to your point, we're kind of missing that emotional part of the equation to be able to do this successfully. And you got to remember, there's been 81 generations since Jesus Christ, somewhere around there. And only since 1963 were women allowed to vote. We're only in, I didn't really have any good role models of women, empowered women who were financially successful. There was a few here and there. You could look to Eleanor Roosevelt. There was a smattering of women that were successful. But mostly, I didn't have a role model, nobody to look up to. So it's just been in the last 1 or 2 generations that this shift is happening, compared to 81, where we were doing it completely a different way. So I think it's really important for women to be gentle with themselves and gentle with the men around them, because we're still trying to figure this out. It looks like we're all empowered. I beg to differ. I think this is a process, and I think all the women alive on the planet are collectively shifting their mindsets to not depend upon men in the same way that we did before, and to become independent. And the missing piece in that for me is that we have to learn how to emotionally take care of themselves. May I share my 3 pillars that I come up with after writing this book? Yes, so I came up with 3. These all came from my book. And by the way, almost more men have read my book than women, because I think they're trying to figure out what the heck we're doing. Not really. And how to gift to their daughters. Because our ultimate goal here, for most of us, is to leave what came on to our children, right? So we're trying to gift them, but if you don't teach them along the way, they're going to be, especially all those girls, are going to be in the same situation. They'll either lose it, they won't have healthy relationships. So my 3 pillars are personal responsibility, which means if you need to clean up your side of the street or practice self-care or get the rest you need, find a way to work that out with your partner or your family so that you can do that. 2 is saying no if it's not a hell yeah. And that goes back to my point, especially in the beginning of a relationship where you're like, oh, he's so cute. Hold up there. Just stick with those emotional feelings and don't tie the financial into it. You can do that later if you choose to. That's just fine. I know a lot of women that take care of men. No problem. They have totally healthy, successful relationships. And the 3rd one is take personal responsibility. So that's the one that changed my life. I learned how to say no, but I learned not to take things personally. So I no longer give, knowing, because I did it over and over and over again, that I was going to retract. I wasn't going to want to give that much. And then I wanted things to be more balanced. It doesn't work that way. You have to start off with a balance. And how you interact with your children are equally part of this equation. Children, lovers, spouses, whatever it is, parents, throw them there in there too. Setting up good boundaries for yourself. And how they receive it is none of your business. That changed my life. And I'm a caretaker, so it's really hard for me to say, hey, your feelings are your feelings, and that's okay. I don't have to change or compromise what women do. Compromise ourselves, and then we're like, why did I do that? That doesn't feel good. So I live by those because I come on podcasts and I do posts on Instagram and I write Substacks and I get out there in the media. Because God, my God, gave me the tools, taught me what spiritual gym to go to and what equipment to use. And all of a sudden, my life started getting better. And it's not like you learn these lessons and then you don't have to do it again. You have to do it every day. Somebody stops you in traffic. What are you doing, lady? Well, if it's your fault, wave and say, I'm so sorry, because maybe you made a mistake. And if it's not, just go, how do we know he didn't just get a divorce this morning? I don't know. But it's so easy to get that riled up feeling of, I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough driver, or a good enough finance person, or whatever. And I think probably a lot of those 400,000 women get caught in this. I know there's other reasons and circumstances, and there's a lot of stuff that happens that are not good for people losing their jobs or whatever. And I have a lot of empathy towards that, but I also know that some of the things that I looked up in some of your podcasts and things are directly relatable to don't take it personally and set good boundaries.
100%. So I love those 3 pillars. Take personal responsibility, say no if it's not a hell yes, and don't take it personally. They seem like really good rules for life.
Yeah, we can add one more in there, which is not an official pillar, but it is to me, is be kind, to yourself and others. And if I go back to the woman that I was talking about earlier that felt unseen, I'm like, see yourself. And if you really want to get better, see other people. Like we get so caught in between what goes on between our ears as women that we make it all about us. And the goal, I think, to healing is just be kind, not how kind that person is to you, how kind you can be, how you can see others. And then your face starts to light up and more people want to know who you are and maybe give you a job or be in a relationship with you.
And I love that. And I'm guessing as well that there was a comment that you made before about being an unshakable or being unshakable. And I feel that each of those pillars, the more that you practice those pillars, that's the kind of end point where you become unshakable.
And you know what? Unshakable women are kind. They do those three things. To me, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with Mel Robbins and all her great work. I just went to see her. Gosh, if anybody wants to go see a show and learn something at the same time, go see Mel Robbins' show. It was simply incredible. But one of my goals is to be on her podcast because I think that these three pillars help us to be able to let them. You know, they're practical tools. I can see the results over and over in my life, and I saw a lot of bad results over and over in my life until I figured out. It just, one occurrence happened where I actually asked somebody if I could share their story before I shared it, because this person had gotten upset with me twice and wouldn't talk to me for like 2 years because I shared something that he knew about somebody, not even him. So I was like, well, that didn't go very well. So I asked him. He said yes. I told the story. Everybody laughed. And I was like, great job. And that one moment was what changed my life, where I was like, oh. And I find all kinds of devious ways that I take things personally. Like, for example, I just confirmed that I'm going to see all three of my children, even the one that lives in Australia, over the summer. For like 7 days, they're going to be there together. And I get so excited. I have a little grandson, so he's going to be there. I get so excited. And then the three of them get together and kind of roll their eyes and like, oh, she's telling that story again. Ever experienced that?
Yes.
Seriously. I had this one story. Well, I have many stories. They'll say, we already heard that one. I had this one story, and it involved the naming of our children and how my ex-husband did not come up with this idea that I have children named A, B, C, D, E, F, and now G for baby grandson. But I was holding that story very close to me, and I was like, you know how I'm going to get them to stop rolling their eyes? I'm just not going to tell the story anymore. They were like, you can't do that. You're attached to your story. Now I tell it here as a learning situation of how I had to stop behaving in a certain way if I wanted different results. And often, like in this case, it had to do with me repeating the same old problems that I thought I had, that I wanted everyone to think I was right. It doesn't work. Trust me, it just doesn't work. And because of that, so I'm coveting this little time I have with my children in the summer, and I'm practicing every day forward till then, and while I'm there, to not take anything personally, no matter what happens. And I know that there's going to be some things that are going to push my buttons because I know better than they am because I'm their mother. Yeah, that doesn't always work either. Do you have children? Do you have children?
I do. I have 2 children. I've got a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That is a great place for those single women out there that are trying to find a partner. Practice on your parents, your best friend, your children if you have any. They're the places that you can practice not taking things personally. And not giving them everything they want. I mean, give them as much as you can. Shower them with love. Shower them with money if you got it. But just make sure that it's within your boundaries, and I think that I just love what you do. So I think that this is part of what you're trying to help women to do. And I love that you're trying to raise $1 billion. You go, girl. That is a woman on top. And you can't take personally when somebody says, I'm sorry, I don't want to give, or is not into your project. Can't give up. Believe in yourself.
It's a hard one. It's something that I've definitely had to build my resilience to. Case in point, I send out a weekly newsletter, and then, sometimes people unsubscribe. And I go, why did they unsubscribe? They don't like me. It's personal. So I'm learning to not take things personally. And it also helps that I've unsubscribed from a lot of things as well, because there's so much clutter in my inbox.
No, I can't stand it. I had I don't remember what platform it was on, but I could see the people that I think I do these Flowdesk newsletters and all kinds of stuff. And if anybody's interested in receiving Substack posts or newsletters, you can go to my website at SuzanneLeydecker.com, which I'm sure will be in your show notes. But I saw who unsubscribed. And I'm like, a couple of them, I'm like, but I do so many good things for him. He can't unsubscribe. I mean, I don't, thank God I don't remember who it was, because I felt like you do. I got my hairs a little bit on the back of my neck being raised straight up. And I was like, it's okay. You have to unsubscribe. And, I don't know if you're like I do, but I want to subscribe to everybody so they feel good and buy everybody's book and do it all. And then I was like, I can't. I've got 50 books sitting right there. When do I find time to read them? Can I buy them and support them? Leave a review if I do? Yes, absolutely. But I don't have time on my floor for any more books, much less my inbox. I try to support people. I go on social media every day for 30 minutes. I don't scroll randomly, except for to like people's things, but it's kind of a chore for me. I'm getting much better at it. But, I have to like people and subscribe to their whatever they're doing, because I know that it feels good when I do. So it's like, goes back to see other people. The more that, without cluttering up your inbox, okay, I get that one, I don't like that one, is that if the more you can support other people and not worry about how much they support you, something magical is going to happen. You're going to get out of that debt. You're going to raise that $1 billion. It's the law of karma, is that the more we can do for others without sacrificing ourselves, right? Because we don't want to do that. That's no bueno. Is that magic happens. And if we could just get rid of the emails, I would just be so happy. Really.
Now, Suzanne, we're at the end of the podcast, and so I wanted to say thank you for joining us and sharing your words of wisdom. I know that you mentioned your book earlier. How can people get a copy of that?
My book is called A Woman on Top, My Journey of Self-Discovery Through Love and Money. And sometimes it comes up and sometimes you have to put in my name, Suzanne, and my last name is Leydecker. But if you just put in L-E-Y, nobody spells their name that way. So it comes up, and it's available on Amazon. It's also available through local bookstores. But Amazon is the number one place where people go to buy it. It's got great reviews. Anybody who reads it wants to leave a review for me. I'm trying to get to 50 reviews. It's like pulling teeth. I'm at 47. Well, somehow you go up the chain and then you're more visible, because it's really important to me. And this all stemmed from the first question that you asked me, where did this all start? Well, it's been this morphing, and I expected to write a book and be done. Oh, this is way more work than that was. And I'm working on my second book, which is going to be a love story. It's way more work to get out there and put yourself out there and to go on social media and to like other people's collaborate with them. So that's the best way to get it. And I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm everywhere. If you got something to say on the subject, let me know, because I know what I think. I want to know what you think. And listen, I really appreciated you sharing about where you take things personally, because that makes us all human. It's not like any of us get out of this. There's somewhere in your life you're taking something personally. Guarantee. You just have to figure out what it is and then go, oh, that's not providing me with very good results. I don't want to do that anymore. And voila, things change.
Absolutely. Suzanne, on that note, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. And I'm looking forward to getting this podcast out into the world as well.
Thank you, Dion. You're such a beautiful soul. Practice on those children. 16 is a great place to practice not taking things personally with your children.
Oh, yes.
Make you a better business person.
100%.
100%. Anyway, maybe when I come to the Gold Coast, I will look you up and we'll be able to share in person some stories. Thank you very much for what you're doing, and blessings to you.
Blessings to you too.